So, what do you think when I say the number 13? That's more than 12, but less than 14? Hey guys, MasakoX here. Now a couple of weeks ago, we made a video about the Omni King and why he needs to simply go away for now. He has had his run, has very much outstayed his welcome, and now has become a complete and utter travesty from what was once a rather compelling little plot device after Hit and Goku fought in the Universe 6 tournament. However, in the manga, he was very much more reserved. Anime, be more like the manga if you're going to use the two Zenos in future. Just be more restrained. But in that video, we also mentioned that both of them seem to have an aversion with the number 13. But we didn't tell you why, at least not then. That's what we are covering today. When you are thinking of the dragon world at large, what do you tend to associate with said number? Are you thinking of perhaps movie 13, Wrath of the Dragon? The movie which basically just started off strong and fizzled out with Goku stealing the win? Albeit in a cool fashion, I'll give you that. No. When you are thinking Dragon Ball, you are probably also associating that number with Android 13 and his majestic trucker hat and rather expensive haircut. No, he is not the focus of our villain reboot series. Yet. We usually associate 13 with being an unlucky number, even though it can also symbolize a new beginning or opportunity, like with Doctor Who, the 13th Doctor, and even counteract bad luck. You barely see it in sport either, with my most memorable memory of it being used on the F1 driver Pastor Maldonado's car in 2014. You know, he was the only one to ever do it. Why is it associated with misfortune anyway? Well, here's a little excerpt from the History Channel's website, which I think surmises it perfectly. An early myth surrounding the origin of the fear involved one of the world's oldest legal documents, the Code of Hammurabi, which reportedly omitted a 13th law from its list of legal rules. In reality, the omission was no more than a clerical error made by one of the document's earliest translators, who failed to include a line of text. In fact, the code doesn't numerically list its laws at all. It also seems as if unexplained fears surrounding the number 13 are a primarily Western construct. Some cultures, including the ancient Egyptians, actually considered the number lucky, while others have simply swapped numbers as the base of their phobias. 4 is avoided in much of Asia, for example. That is very strange for Dragon Ball. With its roots in Eastern culture, you would think that Zeno would be scared of the number 4, right? You know, be scared of Kitella. Not just for the fact that he's a big yellow rat. Why 13? Is it for pop culture reasons? Awareness of the Western fandom? It's a little perplexing, but why is this number the central point of this video? Why are we talking about it? Well, probably most of you guys know it, even on the subconscious level, but check how the universes in Dragon Ball Super's universe are paired as of the end of Super's current run. We have Universe 1 and 12, Universe 2 and 11, Universe 3 and 10, Universe 4 and 9, Universe 5 and 8, and then of course the one that we are most aware of, since we can't get enough of Beerus and Shampa's bickering, Universe 6 and Universe 7. Now add up the numbers of those pairs. And no, we don't get the number 78 if you're trying to be clever. Look again, their designations are always paired to add up to 13. It's one of those mathematical things that really gets us going on this channel. There is a pattern here, which seems to be more than coincidental. There's something to this. Are we overreacting? Perhaps, but it just makes sense to add them up like this, I guess. The fact that all 6 pairs add up to the same figure has to have something to it, which hasn't yet been touched upon in the main timeline, and it might be further down the line. Now, it may end up being on a hiding to nowhere, sure, it's a theory, but it's always fun to play with the cultural meanings of things and try to apply them to this medium. It can't hurt to have some kind of hidden subtext within a children's TV show now, or something that is primarily about action to have some kind of secret meaning behind it. You know, give some added depth to proceedings. Now, in of itself, the number 13 has many meanings and properties. It's the 6th prime number, the smallest emerb. That's a prime that is a different prime when its digits are, reversed. One of only 3 known Wilson primes, a Fibonacci number, a number that is the sum of the previous 2 Fibonacci numbers, 5 and 8. It's also a happy number, the 3rd centered square number. Most importantly, it's also the number of a baker's dozen. And if you know our Goku's inclination towards baked goods, that is very important to understand. Now, going back to what we alluded to via the History Channel, the number 13 is very much considered an unlucky number in most countries. The end of the Mayan calendar's 13th Baktun was superstitiously feared as a harbinger of the apocalyptic 2012 phenomenon. And I'm not talking about the equally muddled Roland Emmerich movie of the same name. The Mayans sadly couldn't have predicted that. Some people could even have a fear of the number 13 itself. Not the connotations behind it or anything, necessarily, just the number. It has a specifically recognized phobia, triskaidekaphobia, a word that was coined in 1911. The superstitious sufferers of triskaidekaphobia tried to avoid bad luck by keeping away from anything numbered or labelled as 13. As a result of this, many companies and manufacturers use another way of numbering or labelling to avoid the number as often as they can to try and avoid any bad reviews or any complications or any losing of customers, or indeed any kind of bad luck associated with it. Even if it is just a superstition, better to be safe than sorry. Hotels and tall buildings being conspicuous examples, no 13th floor. It is also considered unlucky to have 13 guests at a table. And if you think that's weird, I actually used to have an irrational fear of the letters J and V when I was a child. If I saw anything with those letters alone, I would run out of the room or hide from it. There was one particular example, there was an ident from a video, a scary logo from the 90s that terrified me. I used to have nightmares about it. I've grown out of it though, thankfully. I kind of have to because one of my initials is the letter V. I can't be scared of my own name. But okay, yeah, I got distracted. For the purposes of this video, we should probably stick to the unlucky interpretation for a moment. If the number 13 is indeed unlucky, which number could be considered to be its opposition? The polar opposite. Well, how about the number 7? Lucky number 7. It's a typological number in Christianity, appearing very frequently in the Bible. 7 days of creation coming to mind. And in Japanese mythology, it's connected to the 7 lucky gods, or 7 gods of fortune. 7 Dragon Balls. And yes, I know about the original reason that there were 7 balls, not to copy the myth of Hakenden 2, obviously, because there are 8 of those. Let's pay a little attention to those 7 lucky gods for a second, though. They all began as remote and impersonal gods, but gradually became much closer canonical figures for certain professions and Japanese arts. During the course of its history, the mutual influence between gods has created confusion about which of them was the patron of certain professions. The worship of this group of gods is also due to the importance of the number 7 in Japan, which is supposedly a bearer of good luck. These gods and their believed visages can be seen here. From left to right, they are Hotei, Jurojin, Fukurokuju, Bishamonten, Benzaiten, Daikokuten, and Ebisu, who is also the only one of the 7 gods of fortune to originate purely from Japan without any kind of Hindi influence. I mean, there is no denying that the Universe 7 team has been pretty lucky at times, and since the lucky number 7 is something known in Japan, I feel that this choice is not incidental. In fact, when you attribute the knowledge of the number 7 here, and our universe in Dragon Ball is Universe 7, no wonder things have gone so well for the Dragon team. Despite the incompetency of Shin and the Kais, things have come through well for everybody there every single time. They are a jammy bunch, and as for 13, its unlucky or lucky meaning comes mostly from Western culture. But we know that it carried over to Japan, and this would not be the first time that Toriyama has borrowed something from the West. We also know that at some point, we supposedly had 18 universes, Zeno apparently wiping out 6 of them on a whim. As long as it isn't a folk tale that the angels used to scare the gods of destruction or anything, and keep them in check, that could be a thing. But the Grand Priest seems to bring this up in his own conversations with Zeno in the manga, so I don't think that this is a fairy tale. It might have some truth to it, and this legend may not be as such after all. So in that old order, the pairings may have been like this. Universes 1 and 18, Universes 2 and 17, Universes 3 and 16, Universes 4 and 15, Universes 5 and 14, Universes 6 and 13, Universes 7 and Universe 12, Universe 8 and 11, and Universe 9 and Universe 10. The number 13 connection would be gone. and instead this would give us a combined number of 19. And what we can also gather is that Universe 7 was once paired with Universe 12. Now this makes me curious to go and explore that universe even more to see if there are any ancient connections. Now, do we have anything interesting in culture that could be connected to that? When it comes to Japan, we've managed to find out that the Japanese tend to avoid using the numbers 4 and 9 as much as possible, because 4 might be pronounced sometimes as shi, which means succumbing, and 9 as ku, which has the same pronunciation as agony or torture. Apparently, some hospitals and apartments in Japan don't have rooms that have the numbers 4 and 9 solely. Maybe that's why Universe 9 was perceived to be the most unfortunate place to be in for our multiverse. It may have not just been trying to ape Mad Max or anything, but we're not done yet. According to the Quran, there were 19 angels guarding hell. But wait, in Dragon Ball, we would have 6 extra angels. And oh, the Grand Priest? Oh, 19 angelic beings. We still don't know what happened to the other 6 angels, as we've seen that they don't disappear. Although we do know that some of you may have ideas about at least one of them, but we're not going to be discussing that here, that would be spoilers. Also worth mentioning is that from a mathematical point of view, 19 is a centered triangular number, something that represents a triangle with a dot in the center, and all other dots surrounding the center in successive triangular layers. We already know that triangles are a pretty important symbol in culture. We even see it on the Grand Priest's overalls, and yeah, he very much enjoys to surround himself with his children in triangular patterns. But let's go to numeration for a second. There are 2 outcomes here. After 6 universes were removed, Zeno and the Grand Priest either changed the way in which universes were connected, or, and this is probably much easier, just changed the names perhaps. Now this is a stretch, considering that we don't know if Zeno removed 6 random universes or just 3 pairs. So, if they counted upwards and just erased universes randomly, Universe 18 would then become the new Universe 12. Universe 17 would become Universe 11, Universe 16 would become the Universe 10, Universe 15 would become the new Universe 9, Universe 14 would become the new Universe 8, Universe 13 would become the new Universe 7. Universe 7 was at one point Universe 13. Well, if we think Zeno took the easy way out, the ones to go would be the old universes 7, 12, 8, 11, 9, and 10. Unless they needed new pairs, which is also an option. But it is very interesting to see that there is a configuration where Universe 7 might be Universe 13 all along, which is very interesting considering how meticulous Zeno and the Grand Priest got with the numeration to always get that 13 pattern. Now, the Grand Priest considers Universe 7 to be somewhat fortunate, always wanting to root for them. Is it possible that it was special in his eyes even before Super? Maybe this is why the 2 of them have this intrigue and maybe almost apprehension, maybe fear of Universe 7's potential. It's the number 13. This is the universe which caused all of this upheaval in the first place and may lead to something big in the future. There may be some hidden meaning. Or maybe Haverok and I are just thinking way too much about this and are making a wacky theory video to entertain you guys. But you guys should not be surprised if at some point in the future, the mysterious Universe 13 will resurface, as it was staring us in the face all this time. So what do you guys think? Do you think that this theory has legs? What could this mean in the grand scheme of things? Or will it just simply amount to nothing like so many things in Super? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later.